Welcome to the Jacob Wayne Show. I am your Jacob Wayne, and with me, as always, is the magnanimous Kellen Gibbons.
Good
Used that one before?
No, I don't think that particular unanimous.
I don't even
We've used
know
other
if
magnificent,
Magnum.
Oh yeah,
The
Magnum
Magnum
size.
style.
Yeah,
Yeah,
style,
size,
not size.
sure, size. Hey, I don't know.
We can tie it off and use it again and again.
Use it again and again. Hi, Poppy. Santa Maria.
You
Guard, let me out. Guard. David Tell.
Good stuff.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, we met David Tell once, very briefly.
Yeah.
That's an excuse to put I'll put the picture right here in the video and you'll see.
It happened. It was real.
Yeah.
He was hilarious. That was a good night. I don't remember a single joke. It was awesome.
That to me is what makes an excellent stand-up show.
Yep.
Is that it kind of hits you more like a wave, and it's just like you're in the boat with everybody else, and it's crazy. You don't remember anything, little bits and pieces. But yeah, David Tell. Yeah, probably the best stand-up show I've been to so far.
Yeah.
I have plenty more to go to in my life, hopefully. And yeah, that was incredible. Doug Stanhope was right up there, probably top 3 as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh,
I haven't been to that many.
Fucking hell. Almost forgot about that one.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the largest stand-up show I've been to. So that's something else too. Like, I definitely like the intimacy of the club, but there is something about a truly professional comedian that can work a crowd that large. It's something else.
Insane. Yeah, sure.
Anyway, what are you sipping on?
Oh, I got the old White Rainbow from Red Rock Brewing Company.
All right.
So let's see. This beer features a hop bouquet of citrus and floral notes.
A hop bouquet of choices and ideas.
It's blended with delicious fruity aromas and flavors from the Belgian wit yeast. It's a refreshing seasonal for IPA lovers. So yeah, it's a white IPA. Delightful. And it's got like a unicorn and rainbows all over it. It's a fun bottle too.
Are there different IPAs, like black IPAs, red IPAs, stuff like that?
Yeah, the same. Same as like the rest of the ales. You can all make the ales IPAs as well.
It's like tea.
Yeah.
You ever had a green IPA other than on that one holiday?
I would say St. Patrick's.
Oh,
yeah. The only one I would say is closest is that one that New Belgium makes, the Emperor. That would be the green IPA.
Yeah, makes sense.
Tastes
or
good.
It's just, sustainably made.
Been delightful.
Yeah. I'm just drinking one of those pit stingers.
Ooh, yeah.
I gotta say, the ongoing saga.
That was the name.
No, natural Natty Light seltzer. This is an ongoing saga with us. I really do like their flavors. Out of all these other seltzers I've been trying, I get to the bottom of the 12 pack and I'm like, oh, that's still really tasty. like some of the other ones, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then by the time I'm done with it, I'm like, I'm over this.
Yeah.
It's similar with just regular seltzers too, like key lime liqueur.
Mm,
Yeah, it's like tasty, but then by the time I'm near the bottom, I'm like, ugh.
yep.
But this is the current experiment with the pit stingers. It's cooler weather now, so we're gonna find out if it's just my chunky little torso rubbing my arms and all that during the summer, if that's what made it really stingy. Maybe I was just
Huh.
having a lot of these and they made me sweaty, and then I'm just like grinding it.
Yeah.
So now that it's cooler, drink those and see what it do. But
Huh.
um, so far, I had a fair amount last night and no stinginess. So
Nice.
the saga continues.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting side effect. So hopefully you figured it out.
Yeah, I think it's just me being overweight, but we have to science things.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah. So, any good eats?
Ooh, let's see. Yeah, there's a new restaurant in Logan.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
well, they're not new anymore. I can't remember if I've mentioned them before or not. Uh, but it's a place called Mama's Kitchen. It's a Venezuelan place.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had a few other things. They got a lot of like empanadas, pastelitos, little sandwiches and whatnot. They got a Philly sandwich. They got a lomo negro, which is like beef brisket, mashed potatoes.
Mm,
My like what I love.
yeah.
So that's really good. But I went there and I got the burger, the Venezuelan burger, and it's got like a little piece of ham. It's got like some fried egg, and it's got
Mm,
some garlic. I'm not like an egg guy at all. Like I really don't like eggs almost in anything. But
mm,
man, that egg on that burger is awesome. That burger is amazing.
mm.
So I think it might be the best burger in Logan. I might go out there and say that. Sorry to
I
the
think that's
places I've
easy enough.
played.
I
It's
was
really
like, well, that's a tall. Well,
actually, yeah.
I don't know if I can think of like an
And that's what I was
incredible burger in
thinking.
Logan.
And see, and if I was to have the second and third places for best burgers aren't at burger places. So
How's
like
that one place doing? It's like
Morty's.
Morty's. Yeah, they
Yeah.
were they were interesting.
Yeah, I went there last week and I got the Mortician, the burger of the October that's a double patty, double cheese, jalapenos, pastrami, and sriracha mayo. That thing's a beast. Don't get
Might
the
need to get one of
fries.
those.
That's all you need is the burger. You don't need a side.
Why
It's
not the
brutal.
fries? Just too
Yeah,
heavy.
that thing is that's all the food you need, man. If you can eat that
Yeah.
whole double burger and all the pastrami and shit, oh my god,
All
it's
right.
huge.
Now let's get back to this Venezuelan kitchen, though.
Yeah,
I remember we had a discussion. I can't remember if we talked about it in the show or not, but it was when I was visiting in Utah, and you were telling me, do they have plantains there?
yeah, yeah.
Now, do you know how they prepare them?
So that's the interesting thing. They do have them where they're just up like in the food, which is
Mm-hmm.
okay. But I got them. They actually came with that Lomo Negro meal just on the side, and they were just like sliced and grilled, and
Yeah,
those were actually tasty as like a little dessert. I enjoyed
yeah,
it.
yeah. I
Kind of
was wondering. I
crisped up.
couldn't remember what your position on plantains was, but like that same visit, I went down to Salt Lake to hang out with Mike Patton, who the listeners now know, Michael Valentine. My bad. And we went to his buddy's Senegalese food truck,
Yeah,
and they had the smash grilled plantains, and I had never had them before, and I loved it. Like that with some
nice.
like kind of curried, yeah, I think it was curried chicken that I got,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, man, it was so good. But so I'm definitely a fan of the fried plantains now.
I think it would be a lot better in something like that. Like the dish I got was kind of like, you know, kind of mashed potatoes and gravy,
Right.
basically like kind of like a Salisbury steak, reminiscent with how tender the brisket was cooked. Way
Yeah.
tastier, but very the banana was kind of weird. I can see with some
Right.
curry, it would be delicious.
Yeah, curry or just it's that balance between savory and sweet. Maybe if you had something a little spicy. then you eat the plantain. It's like that's kind of refreshing.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, no real. Did I mention the Beijing noodle here in Fort Collins?
I
Anyway,
can't remember.
yeah,
I
quick
don't.
shout out. Um, ever since I moved back from China, um, in Hangzhou, we would always get the wonton soup, and
Ooh.
the kind you get here in America, the Americanized version, it's just missing something. I couldn't tell you what, but any city I live in the US now, I kind of go on a hunt to find some really good, authentic wonton soup.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I found it. Like, it's definitely in Hangzhou, we would have all these different, like, kind of vinegary type sauces and soy sauces and stuff that you could dump in, maybe the red chili. And it didn't look like this restaurant has it. So it's a little more, it's lacking that, but it's like very fresh food. We also got some beef dumplings, had tea eggs. I almost said century eggs. That's totally different. Tea eggs. And Shaki got this kind of like peanut butter noodle thing. And it's super affordable and super tasty. So if you want something a little more authentic Chinese cuisine in Fort Collins, hit up the Beijing noodle.
Oh Lord.
Yep. But
Yeah.
other than that, kind of just been doing a little bit of penny pitching, cooking up a lot of, chicken and rice dishes here at home. But, you know, you've had my curry. I think I do an okay job.
Oh yeah, very good.
So a lot of that and a hot pocket, something like that.
Ooh.
We don't have to always eat fancy here.
What kind of
Sometimes
hot
it's
pocket?
not my favorite. It was like the sausage pizza ones or whatever. I kind of
Nice.
wanted a case of breakfast ones, but
Yeah, those
they were
ones are
sold
pretty
out.
good. I always liked the Philly steak one back in the day, but
I've never been a Philly steak guy. Can't
word.
really get into it. I don't know what it is. I think it might be the seasoning on the beef.
Yeah, lots of gravy. Mm.
I don't know. It's like a spice thing. It's just in the meat itself. I don't know.
Huh,
Yeah, but I don't know. Every time I eat it, I'm just like, man, yeah,
word. I feel you.
it's better than those icy hot pockets, though, right?
Oh yeah.
Just you've seen those memes going around, right?
Yeah, the Jim Gaffigan.
Well, it's like they do the container of the hot pocket, but then it's like deodorant. It's like Old Spice
Oh
deodorant
yeah,
hot
yeah.
pockets or some shit like that.
uh,
Just like,
yeah,
whoa, you just like taste it looking at it.
yeah. I've seen some interesting ones.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, I always hated that Jim Gaffigan bit too, because I like hot pockets. For cheap store bought processed stuff, it ain't that bad.
no,
It's like, you need to calm your tits, Jim.
I remember when Hungry Man dinners, and I used to think those were like the shit. I was like
Yeah.
super excited. I was like, I don't want your nasty home cooked food. I want a Hungry Man dinner.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I do a lot of shopping at Whole Foods when I can, but yeah, sometimes you get the receipt from shopping there and you're like, ow.
Yeah.
So it's like, definitely I only get meat there. I don't do the local Kroger spots for meat. I need it to be a little bit nicer there, but you know, I don't know, maybe the little things like coconut milk or whatever. But if I'm just getting like an actual meal type thing, like fuck it, get hot pockets from King Supers. No big deal.
Ah,
Yeah,
there you
gotta
go.
have your balance, I guess.
Exactly.
But that's enough food stuff. Nothing in particular new
Hmm.
with that. Watch any good? Well, actually, let's wait on movies. Let's talk music. Any good new music for you?
No, I haven't had anything new that's popped up on my radar lately,
Yeah.
but anything I do have some news, but you got any new tunes you want to shout out?
It's not new, but Spotify recommended an album, and while I've been playing Valheim, I've just been going through a lot of music. I was doing a thing where I was trying to listen to well-known albums from artists that I know are huge, but I never listened to them. So maybe like a Tom Petty album I never heard, or
Yeah,
um,
Filter.
I listen to Filter, so I know them pretty well.
Oh,
But like, Genesis, we did Genesis, and
I see.
we turned it off pretty quick. I was like, all right.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that was there for that one. Yeah.
yeah. What was the name of that song? Like, Jesus knows who I am.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah.
don't know. You're like, what?
Eh, that's all their only good song, I guess. That's a
Yeah.
damn good song.
If you remember from our um old podcast, maybe it was the last one, Jesus has my back, but I don't gotta write a fucking song about it.
No, plenty of
Yeah.
people already have.
Yeah. So anyway, blah blah blah. I'm going through albums like that, and one got recommended by a band called Jucifer,
Huh.
and I liked it. It's kind of like gothy, like real simple stoner rock kind of stuff, but like a kind of the goth high voice singer chick doing her thing. But I will say that every song was pretty catchy, and each song was like a slightly different elaboration on rock music. So they had like kind of a punky track and then a goth track, one that was like kind of sludgy metal. But it is just this duo. It's this guy that's the guitar player, I imagine. I don't know if he writes at all, but they just had a picture of him and her. And so I imagine she
Huh.
sings. I don't know if she plays any instrument or anything, but it was really tasty and catchy. If you're into stoner metal, stuff like the Melvins or Sleep, yeah, you might
Nice.
dig it. Or even like a little more like goth stuff. Like I'm trying to think, man, there was one goth band. It's like they just had a song like My Cat, My Cat. It's like very stare at your shoes, smoking a cigarette, like whatever. I'll look it up while
Nice.
you mention something. But yeah, that's it for music on my end.
Word. Yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to Dr. Lonnie Smith,
Hell
who
yeah.
passed away. Rip in peace. He
Yeah.
he just came out with a new album. It was one of the last new albums I did hear about and mentioned. There's like a
Yeah.
collaboration with Iggy Pop on it and stuff. So
Okay.
he's a really cool dude. The more, a lot of people have been posting stories about him. One of my old teachers posted a video of him like playing the Mormon Tabernacle organ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, while he was in Utah, he got to go jam on that thing, and that guy's just a badass. He was so cool. When
Did
I saw him
he
live, he sorry, I was gonna say he what's that guy's he Willy Wonka'd us at the concert. Like he had
put
like
you
a
up a
weird
giant chocolate tube?
well no
Turned
he
you
did the
into a
thing like
blueberry.
he was walking with his cane and acting like he couldn't
Oh,
walk.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden he just threw his cane up in the air and caught it, and it was like a one string slap bass
Mm-hmm.
thing, and he was just like pow, 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 and started like going crazy on his cane.
Hell yeah.
It was so cool, dude. That's how he like kicked off the show. We were just all just like mind blown. And then he just got on the organ and blew all our minds. So rest in
Hell
peace. That
yeah.
guy's amazing. If you want to listen to an amazing organ album, go listen to Too Damn Hot.
Too damn hot. That's the album recommendation.
That's my
If
favorite.
you
That's
only
like one of
pick
his
one.
older ones. Yeah, if I had to pick one, I would say go for that one. That's my personal recommendation. The one that just came out, it's called Breathe. Also good.
Okay. Now, did he start with a group or anything like that, or did he just come out of the gate as Lonnie Smith?
I think it just came out just doing its own thing, kind of.
All
So
right.
he's played with like tons of people. He was like a living legend. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's cool. Well, I definitely need to give it more of a listen. I know the name. I don't know the music too well.
yeah. But Too Damn Hot. There's a track on there called Backtrack, and that might be one of the funkiest songs Like top funkiest songs ever. it's a
Yeah.
jam. It's tasty.
Well, he lived a long life though, right?
Yeah, he was pretty up there for a musician. Like I think he was 90. So, yeah.
Okay. So rest in peace. But yeah, somebody put it well. I'm trying to remember. It might have been the comedian Annie Letterman, or yeah, maybe it was. I think it was podcast Trash Tuesdays, which is pretty enjoyable. And
Mm-hmm.
she was talking about Norm Macdonald passing away and how she was trying to like mentally not get as sad about it and get upset, and how she's trying to just be thankful for what life and work they gave us while they were here, because obviously nobody gets out of here alive. And
Yeah.
she got a little more woo woo with it and was like, I think people have like a contract in their life and they decide when they're gonna go. I don't know if I
Oh.
believe in any of that,
Oh.
but I do think there is something to that. Like, you definitely go when you're gonna go, and trying to predict when that's gonna be, it's like near impossible. So there is something different about somebody who takes their own life or way too young. It's painful and it hurts, especially if any of it could have been prevented, if it's like a big accident or anything. But just yeah, if you lived a good long life and became ill, or whatever it is, it's just like,
Uh-huh.
thank you for being here and thank you for all the work. And that's just the
Yeah.
right amount, I guess.
Yeah, it's true. If I'm not mistaken, if I read correctly amongst all the things I was reading, all the different, you know, tributes and stuff, I think he might have like been sick for a while, and actually that album that he released was like he knew, kind of like the
Yeah.
David Bowie album.
Or
But
a Redemption Song by
oh
Bob
yeah,
Marley.
yeah.
That's always been a bit of a fantasy of mine, as an artist and stuff. Like, if I was actually given a time frame, like, you have about 6 months left, I'd be like, all right, I want to make an album and I want to make my last series of paintings and try to write some stuff down, do all the drugs I never got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like yeah, like totally. Got a week left. I'm doing meth.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, like, might be a crazy wild night, but
Let's go out to the Denny's by the freeway at 2 a.m. and ask for Jimbo, and
yeah,
you get some.
I'm gonna hopefully make my grandkids go get it for me. It'll probably be some totally different compound by then.
There you go.
But that's it. If I had grandkids, Jesus Christ, so much in between there. But I'll tell you what, though, that would be funny. Meth will ruin your entire life unless you do it 1 week before you die. Tax on a couple extra months. Who knew?
Oh yeah.
You're just running on like fucking glass fuel.
Like, you literally don't have kidneys. He was like, get out of my way.
Looking like the Crypt Keeper. Yeah. But anyway, rest in peace, Lonnie Smith. To totally
Thanks
have
for
a
not
terrible
living.
segue.
Thanks for not living for an extra 2 months high on meth.
Yeah, don't do
Glad
the
you
meth thing,
didn't.
Lonnie. That's for me. The name of that band was Jack Off Jill. Have you ever heard of them?
Oh, I have heard of them. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So rest in peace, Lonnie Smith.
Nice.
Can we use this as a promo, or is like Instagram going to take it down because of the meth reference?
Probably, yeah. We can find a better one.
All right. Well, it's up to us
Well,
to
I don't know
make
if we can
one.
find a better one, but we should probably find a different one, I guess I should
Yeah.
say.
Probably shouldn't have a promo where I say I'm going to do meth.
Yeah.
But it's in the future, like when all laws have fallen away and with America, well, just the whole world's going to be a corporation.
Yeah. AmeriCorp.
Yeah. Apple Face.
Amazon.
Am a book.
Yeah.
I am a book. Mm. Jeff Bezos will still be around.
him and Musk will just be going back and forth, be like, "No, I got more money now. No, I got more slaves now."
Well, Elon Musk looks like a monitor lizard became a man. I just pictured Jeff Bezos and like Zuckerberg licking their eyeballs like lizards do,
Yeah,
just
totally.
feeding him, just like he could be one of us if he only grew in strength.
uh,
But yeah, Musk is too busy dating. Was he with? Not Lord.
no, I can't remember. Let me look it up.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a busy man. He's
yeah,
doing all
he's all
kinds of
in
other
there
stuff.
eating those meat chunks that the other bigger CEOs give him. Anyway, rest in peace,
Grimes.
Lonnie Smith. Crimes. That's right. Yeah, of course he's a lizard. Only a lizard would date somebody named Grimes. His beautiful name.
I'm I can't hear Grimes without thinking of the opera by what's his name? Peter. Oh man, I can't believe it left me.
Peter Gabriel from
No.
Genesis.
It's Benjamin Britten. That's his name. He's an
Oh,
English composer. He wrote an opera called Peter Grimes.
Peter Grimes.
So that's what I always think of when I hear the name Grimes. I'm like, oh yeah, there's that opera.
Yeah. I don't know.
And that's my brain. Yeah.
Well, do you want to get into a couple news items before we do the guest?
Yeah.
All
I
right.
got a couple of weird newsies here.
Let's do the video game thing real quick.
Okay.
So this is almost like a month old now. Both of these are reported by Collider.com, but I had a couple questions for you, and I'll just read both titles. The first one is Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic remake is announced for PlayStation 5. So that's awesome.
Shit.
And then they also, a Wolverine game has been announced from the Marvel Spider-Man studio, Insomniac. They did I think the most recent Spider-Man game, and that was on PS4, but also on PS5. So my question to you is, there a game that you played that you really want them to remake and really just spruce it up, not change the gameplay or anything that much? And also, is there a superhero video game that you want them to make that they maybe haven't made before?
Huh. Well, the first one that comes to mind is like the single player campaign of GoldenEye for Nintendo 64.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved that game, and I'd love to play that game again and just have exactly how it is. Even if you just got me to be able to play it like cleanly, like
Yeah.
the N64 emulators don't work great. Like,
Yeah.
just somebody remade that game with like the exact same everything. Just it'd be awesome to make it look nice, which I've heard people are doing, but I have not seen it.
Like Unreal Engine or something like that.
Yeah, one of those. And I know people have remade the multiplayer, but I want to play the single player, like with all the enemies and stuff again. That's what I miss. I was actually looking at one too today. Funny enough that you mentioned that. Like, I used to play a Toy Story game from like the first movie. And I was like, that'd be fun to play that game.
You are my friend that would play the Toy Story game. Like what? Never even heard of it.
Yeah.
But to go back, I did buy the GoldenEye remake. I think that was the official title, and I didn't like it. I was like, what the hell is this? This is not what I wanted.
Deeply unsatisfying for what I was hoping for. It was like, okay, I played it all the way through. There's a couple of levels that are like all right, but there are some that like are so bad.
It just reminded me of Call of Duty, though. Like,
oh yeah, totally.
It's not what God damn it.
Yeah.
But the particulars of what I like in a shooter is probably not the mainstream. So I can understand why they made that. It's not to say that that's a bad game, but as far as a game you want a remake of, like GoldenEye is the one where you're like, no, don't change anything, just make it smoother and the graphics better. maybe a couple new guns or something, but like that's it.
Yeah.
But the Final Fantasy VII remake, like that was great because I don't, even though I would like a touched up just recreation of the original, it is fun to have them revamp the whole thing and elaborate on the story, and the fighting system is a little different. Like, all right, that's cool. But on to the superhero one.
That's an interesting one.
I will, while you're thinking, I will say that when they said Wolverine, I was like, holy shit, yeah, that would be fun as fuck. Like, and the only other game I've played that had Wolverine, I know they made some other ones, at least I'm pretty sure they did. I played an old Super Nintendo game, which was X-Men and Spider-Man.
Oh, nice. That'd be cool.
That's not the official title, but basically you had like 5 X-Men and Spider-Man, and they all had their own levels. I think they each had 2.
Uh-huh.
And then, you're all working to fight this one bad guy, but there was a Wolverine level that was hard as fuck, but super fun. It was just fun to come and slash things. And I mean, Gambit, his level was ridiculous, but he was my favorite X-Men, and it was cool to just beat him for 5 or 10 seconds while he survives and then get barreled. But
yeah.
Yeah, so Wolverine just sounds like a fucking badass game. Recently our buddy Neil brought up Superman 64. I don't know if you watched that video he posted, but that's terrible. It looks like utter garbage, and it apparently is like universally panned. It's like that ET game they made and just buried in the desert somewhere. Like, and I was like, Superman would be a lot of fun. That could be sweet, but I don't know. What do you
did it right? Yeah. I don't know, man.
Assuming they do it right.
I guess, like, I don't know what they've already made. I mean, I guess it'd be kind of fun to even be like Wonder Woman, I guess. Be flying around, whipping stuff.
The lasso of truth.
Yeah, doing that thing.
What if you could throw the lasso of truth onto people that are watching you stream? Yeah. And it's just like, I want to make love to your eyebrows. You're like,
Gotcha. Or like I don't know, Aquaman, I guess might be fun, but I hate underwater levels. But he doesn't have to be underwater.
Wouldn't be fun. They're just in the ocean swimming around talking to fish. I don't even care if you look like Jason Momoa. Aquaman is not cool. There's one good thing about that show, The Boys, is because they're all basically ripoffs of the Justice League. They got one character that's called the Deep. And he ends up joining like some alternate version of Scientology because he gets kicked out of the 7. And everybody's just like, you're pathetic, dude. Like, what? You gonna help us really and talk to that whale over there? Help me get through that fucking wall. And he's a piece of shit. But it's weird because they introduce him as such a hateable character, and then halfway through the season, you're like, God damn it, he's kind of a lovable fuck up. There's spoiler. You ready?
Yeah.
There's a scene where the Scientology type cult thing gives him a drug and to like help discover himself, and he's sitting in a room and he has gills that he always hides because he thinks they're ugly. And he just unzips his uniform and he has his gills out and he's just kind of breathing. And then the gills start talking to him, and they're voiced by Patton Oswalt. He's like, how come you don't acknowledge me? It's just like a fucking surreal, hilarious scene. So
nice.
Yeah, Aquaman game would suck.
It's true. I don't know what they've all made.
The Flash could be interesting.
They do a Hulk game? I mean, that could be fun.
If you did Flash, it was kind of a mixture between like a racing game and time start and stop mechanics. And
oh yeah, there you go.
I don't
know. A Sub-Zero kind of thing. Is there a freezy dude? I don't know, like what brand of superhero it has to be.
But I think Iceman from X-Men. They could just make a sweet X-Men game where you could use a different character for particular things, like kind of hit a button and rotate characters or something.
Yeah, there you go.
I always thought that they needed to do like a open world Skyrim slash GTA Spider-Man version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hell yeah.
So like you'd have to rotate between the different turtles. Like obviously, like hacking into a computer or whatever would be Donatello. Brute strength stuff is like Raphael. You know, they could all have their skills, but then you just wander around the city, beating up the Foot Clan, doing quests. Go down into the sewer. There's some stuff down there.
Hell yeah. That could be an awesome game.
And whoever's listening to this, you better not rip off my idea. And if you do, give me a job. I'll be your coffee boy, party boy, whatever. But you better give me a job because you know that's a good idea.
I want to make the music. Let's make the music for it.
Hey, I'm down. Although that new one coming out is I think it's called Shredder's Revenge. They're making a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game, but it's the old side scroller beat 'em up, so it's not what I'm talking about. But I'm still gonna play the shit out of that. And Mike Patton did the theme song for it, so shout out to that.
Oh shit, we just had him on. Nice.
No, we didn't. We had Michael Valentine. So let's get into weird news, and then we'll get into our guests.
All right. I enjoyed this one.
Mm-hmm.
A very concerned citizen has brought to the attention of Utah Governor Spencer Cox that his surname sounds like slang for part of the male anatomy. So somebody really sent him this letter. Just Spencer.
Oh, dude,
that guy's
Spencer
got a
hurts for
Spencer.
today.
Yeah, you ever call it a Spence?
Would you like to come sit on my Spencer?
Yeah. So here, this is a literal letter. You post a picture of it.
For our audio listeners, I'm twirling my mustache.
It's obscene.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, that's in the letter. That's not you.
Look at that. That's a nice twirl.
Ooh.
Yeah, anyway, go ahead.
All right, so here, this is the literal, this is a letter that got sent to a dude in office. It's obscene. Us decent people here in Utah will not stand for it. The Honorable Republican Party will not stand for it. Most importantly, I will not stand for it. So it's just like, most important, what?
The Honorable Republican Party? Who the fuck are they?
Well, yeah, where's that one? I've never heard of that one.
All right, anyway.
Because of your reluctance to change your foul, dirty, and obscene name, myself and thousands of other Utahns will be sitting in protest, not standing until you change your heinous surname to something less offensive.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Yes.
Do you think there was thousands?
I don't think there's more than this guy.
Maybe him and his kids that he forced to go.
Yeah.
I'll buy you shaved ice afterwards.
We'll go to Chick-fil-A.
Go to Chick-fil-A, damn it, and eat all the hot cocks we want. Wait.
This is a social justice issue and will not be denied basic human decency. So social he doesn't know how to
justice issue.
Yeah, he hates. I thought they hated that word.
No, they love to use it when it applies to them. And their perceived slights against them, the Honorable Republican. I mean, just this guy.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
If our simple request is not met, we will assemble and do what democracy was made to do by recalling you from office because of your filthy surname. This is not a communist dictatorship. Capitalize. This is the great state of Utah. We do not accept sick jokes to run rampant in our civil institutions. We demand a response to this letter, and we expect to hear back from your office soon.
I want to. This sounds like it's fake, but I don't know if I want to believe it's real. Because if part of me wants to believe it's real, and another part of me wants, like, I don't know. I hope this isn't a real guy.
I hope the letter is, sent in jest.
Because the big capitals, and the Honorable Republican Pat. Like, it seems a bit too much, but is there
maybe
people really like that?
Yeah,
I hope. Well, yeah, and I hope so, because the other reason I hope so is if it is fake, it's just basically making everybody think about dirty old Cox.
Yep, they're like, oh God, now I'm hearing it. And
You
then
know that
kids are like,
Governor
"Ma."
Cox, he has to think about his whole life before he legislates.
And then all these little kids are gonna be like asking their parents why it's like a thing. Like, what's Cox? And why is Cox bad?
Yeah. No,
I
no,
like
yeah. I
Cox.
hope it is the ultimate troll and not a real dude. Another shout out to the Dewey Cox story. The whole movie opens up with a Cox,
Yeah.
Cox, I need Cox.
So yeah, they keep throwing it in like, you're like, God damn it.
Tell me you want this dirty old Cox.
Yeah. It's a fantastic movie.
Get out of here, Dewey. You don't want no part of this.
It just keeps escalating.
Anyway, if you haven't ever seen Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, you need to. It's required viewing. If you ever play music with me, we have to watch that together.
I would
And
just
if you
say,
don't like it, we're not making music together.
well, I don't know, like how you can't. How could anyone not like that movie, regardless of whether they play music or
It's
not?
just too silly. It's like not serious. And like, I don't know.
I don't even know what you're saying right now.
Yeah, it's just there's definitely stuff that's like way too cringy, silly. I know that exists, but that one is the music is so good and
Oh yeah, they nail it.
it's the perfect tone of silliness.
And all the really silly stuff, they just like deliver it perfectly. Just like they know it's silly. It's delightful.
Yeah. Dewey, I'm halved.
This is a particularly bad case of someone being cut in half.
Speak English, Doc. We ain't scientists. This reminds me though, I'm glad it made me think of all that Cox was we didn't talk about movies. You saw a movie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, kicked off the old October with a little suspenseful thriller called Misery.
She is one of my easily top 5, maybe even top 3 villains of all time. She scares the shit out of me.
Yep. And I remember you'd mentioned that movie before. We've talked about it, and I was excited to watch it. And now I know what you were talking about. She's creepy as hell. I was saying, like the way she slips in and out of insanity is just awesome.
Well, and the slow build to her first like actual snap. I can't remember exactly what it is that makes her snap. She just has him in the bed and she's being all sweet, but you're all like, this is weird. Like, this isn't how. Where's the doctor? Where's the police? And just, you're kind of like, And then she's just standing over him. Like, he like wakes up in the middle of the night. Or is that it? Or does she just like kind of flip out, like watching the TV show? It's like, the goddamn it, they don't explain where the fucking is. The gosh darn tutti fruity, like just the weird.
Yeah, she tells him a story from her past and then freaks out the first time, and then she's like, "Oh, sorry." Like she lets it slip the first time, and then she just starts doing it.
Those darn cockadoodie, cockadoodie.
Yeah,
I hate the way she does shit like that.
You're a dirty bird.
You're a dirty birdie.
Mr. Man. That's the other one I've heard people say.
Anything prepare you for the hobbling?
Yeah,
did you know that was coming?
Kristen, well, you see what's coming when pretty quick, you know. I turned away. I did not.
What?
Yeah, I did not watch the hammer hit the ankles. I can't do that shit, man. Oh, I would have like probably puked right there.
It's a dirty little birdie.
I put it on my bucket list. I don't ever want to get a ride out of the wilderness on a helicopter, and I don't ever want to get hobbled.
Yeah. Well, and I also love the sheriff and his wife, just kind of their nice little relationship.
Yeah, he's
just kind of casually doing his research, trying to solve the crime. Like, I wish I had enough time to do that much casual research.
Yeah. No, that's a great story. Yeah. He's a great actor. I really enjoyed the sheriff.
Yeah, what the fuck's going on, Rob Reiner? He's the guy that directed it,
Yeah.
and he hasn't done anything that great in a long time. He did like When Harry Met Sally, Misery, Stand by Me, a bunch of stuff.
Well,
He's a great director.
we just watched the other movie that he was famous for, like a comedy, one of the bigger ones. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's good stuff.
yeah, it's a good guy. Also, his role in Wolf of Wall Street's pretty great. So I guess he did a good acting job kind of recently. But yeah, Misery. I I might need to watch that for October Movie Fest. I haven't really started anything. This was last month, but I watched Mars Attacks. You've seen that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been a long time. That was a childhood story. That's a good one.
Yeah. Just seeing Sarah Jessica Parker get her head sewn to a chihuahua body and then fall in love with a floating severed Pierce Brosnan head is enough to make that movie awesome.
True that.
But and then the fact that yodeling music is the thing that kills them.
Oh yeah,
They just
yeah.
unplug it and their brains start rippling like ah! Yeah, it's an awesome movie. So if you haven't seen it, watch Mars Attacks. It has basically everybody in it. Some of them twice.
Yeah, I need to watch that one again. I also need to watch the Coneheads all the way through. I know it's a little different, but
yeah, it's been a while since I've seen that. Also, speaking of movies, I put up my first official movie review. I'm going to start doing new movie releases and new album releases and review them whenever it feels like something to review. I'm definitely not going to keep up on every little thing, but did the Many Saints of Newark, a Sopranos story. And you'll have to go watch that review to see what I think about it.
hell yeah.
Yep. So with that, I guess we're going to get into this interview. I interviewed Heather Rogue, old friend of ours from Cache Valley, and she's currently in Sacramento and doing some stand-up stuff and has some interesting stories for me. So let's just get into it.
Let's see what's going on.
Hey Heather, how you doing?
Hello there, Jacob. How are you? I'm good. How are you?
I'm swell. I'm not used to recording these as early as I have been with these last couple of interviews. So rather than a beer, I have some coffee and
Hey, you too.
And just kind of getting into the groove of doing these interviews now. So kind of what I've been doing at the top of these interviews is just been asking how we know each other. When was the first time we met? Do you remember?
No.
I'm trying to think if I remember the first time I met you.
I feel like when we met, you had already moved like away, and then you like came back or something like that. Because I feel like you had come back, like moved back when we first met. But I don't know necessarily if that's maybe that's
it's
just
a
like
possibility.
That's like the feeling that I have from meeting you. Like I don't remember. That happens with like a few people, like Kamala. It's like, yeah, she moved back and then I met her after I like moved to Utah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, the first time I moved was to Florida in 2004, 2005. And I did that for about a year and then came back and did USU college stuff. And so we had like kind of a circle of friends. I'm sure we like hung out, randomly at parties and stuff, which, my memory can be a little loosey-goosey from those parties.
Right. Like we met at parties where we were drinking a lot. So it's like, which one? I don't know. Which one did I meet? Like some people tell me they know when they met me. Like Nick Lewis is like, I remember when I met you because you called shotgunning a beer going to church. And you're like, does anyone want to go to church? I was saying, does anyone want to go to church? and just like bam, everyone was like, wait, what? We're drinking. And then I was like going to the sink and shotgunning, and they're like, oh, okay. And then it became not really a thing, but a small thing to make fun of me, you know. I feel like
that's an interesting thing, because I call going to oh wow, I'm drawing a blank, the Indian food restaurant in Logan, Tandoori Oven. Going to Tandoori is going to church. And I wonder if that's just this thing that us Cache Valley folks do when we're not doing the Mormon thing. We're like, what's this other shit we love? We're just going to call that church.
Everyone's got to have a church, you know what I mean?
Some sort of ritual.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember having like a really good conversation with you about politics walking around. I think we walked to the liquor store and then walked somewhere else. That's like a vague memory I have.
I remember that too. And I think that was like the first night we met, was we ended up like walking, I think, to the liquor store or somewhere, probably to get beer or liquor. Yeah. And then like, and I remember it being kind of cold, which it often is in that area, you know, very frigid place.
Definitely. So, I mean, we hung out a little bit, and then I suppose every spot's getting warmer. Warmer by the year. But I moved to China and then came back to Seattle for a bit. So then I'd kind of see it in and out, but it's been a while.
Right. Yeah. And I moved away too, and I like started traveling, and then I, you know, moved to Sacramento and started doing comedy, and so I've been here, you know. I might go perform sometime. That's usually when I travel, is like, okay, what shows can I book, and I'll make it into like a tour. This coffee's giving me the burpees. It's perfect. Let me see if I can get a good one out, actually. But so I don't know, maybe we'll see each other. Maybe I'll come perform in Fort Collins. It happens.
We have the Comedy Fort now.
Right, there are venues.
I think, man, Taylor Tomlinson, kind of a name I've barely learned in the stand-up world. She just came through. So there's quite a few people coming through. You should look into it.
Absolutely, it'd be fun.
But let's kind of backtrack a little bit. That's actually interesting. I remember there was one time we were hanging out. We watched Brian Posehn stand up.
Oh, did we?
Yeah, we were a little faded, but it was funny.
Good. It's funny is because like a good friend of mine in the comedy scene, Johnny Taylor, is he often goes on tour with Brian Posehn. So it's sort of like a weird kind of small world like that, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
Where you just mentioned him, but
so you're based in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And when did you start doing stand-up?
A couple years ago or so. I don't know. Like I really took it. I went on stage like I kind of can mark that. It was like a little after Tyler died, and
rest in peace. That's our good friend.
Can I spill some coffee for him?
Sure. Pour one out for the homie.
Okay, I'm just gonna, you know, I don't want to put a coffee stain. I'm sorry, Tyler, but
to Tyler.
I'll do it later with
coffee cheers.
Coffee cheers. But that's when I first, it's when I first went to an open mic, a comedy open mic in my life, actually. And I also signed up to go on stage because, you know, I already did poetry. So it's like, whatever, I'll just go up and tell 3 lame jokes and get off. Who cares, you know? But then they weren't.
How nervous were you? Because I would have loved to try stand up, but the whole concept makes me incredibly nervous.
It's, you know, I mean, it's still, you know, like, honestly, it didn't make me nearly as nervous back then as some shows do now. because it's like back then it was nothing. It was like, who cares? Like, I literally don't give a fuck about anyone's opinion. I can go up there and tell a couple lame jokes. I don't have to go for 5 minutes. I can do whatever I want to, you know?
That's a great place to be when playing music and singing. I'm so nervous, your voice gets tight, you're not doing it right. But I think the first show I played was like, I don't give a fuck what they think. I'm just gonna get up there and do my thing. And best show ever. People are like, wow, you did great.
Yeah,
like,
you have to keep that. You have to keep that the whole time you do comedy. Every time you're about to go on stage, the moment that little nerve in you goes, we should pander, I hope they like me, blah blah blah, you have to say, no, fuck that, I'm gonna go beat them up. Like, I'm gonna go scare them. Like, I'm gonna go, not, you know, but like
a little bit of healthy disdain for the audience,
a little bit of just like, yeah, fuck you, right? Like, exactly, fuck you, I'm funny, right? Like, but yeah, so there's that, and like, that's something where it's like a little battle that happens before every show that matters to me, where like, if I'm performing a show that like could lead to bookings and etc., I'll start getting nervous and thinking, God, I need this to go right. And that's like death to me and my, I guess, I think to comedy in general, but definitely to my style. It's like the moment that I start caring what people think, they stop laughing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, I always have to make sure that whatever the stakes are for me, I'm really just up there to like be funny and have fun, and that's it, you know?
Yeah. Do you feel like you could describe your style now, or is it still kind of forming?
Well, and it's always forming. It's always evolving. You know, what's funny is I think Anthony Jeselnik has always been a strong comparison for my style. Kind
of testing the edge of things, kind of seeing where that is for people.
Right, it's like edgy. Some people describe it as bitchy. I definitely got a strong resting bitch face. I started out much more dry. I bring a lot more energy now. And
like pace the stage.
Yeah, well, I pace anyways, but now I make it more intentional and like I engaging with the audience. And just like, lean into discomfort of like, what am I gonna say next? What am I gonna say next? And it's like every new few words, I try and turn it again and like lead to a new misdirection if I can, you know? So there's definitely that. My partner compared me recently, because we were talking about him, to Norm Macdonald, and I felt really honored by that. But I don't know if
another rest in peace coffee sip.
Rest in peace.
Norm Macdonald is I have a lot of like, Patrice O'Neal is probably my favorite stand-up. Norm Macdonald's my favorite joke teller, though. Just hit the way he would formulate and deliver things.
I can't touch it.
I don't know. It's incredible. And I, on another podcast, Sunday Papers, one guy, Mike Gibbons, he broke down that a lot of people kind of see Norm Macdonald as sarcastic, but he's really not. He finds the truth of something at its most like bare bones, and he just kind of matter-of-factly, he's like, we're all going to die. Did you know that? We're alive now and we'll all die.
Right.
It's just like da-da-da-da. But
what did he say about, I mean, I was reading about him too. He was on Jon Stewart's show talking about Steve Irwin, and he was like, 44 is a ripe old age for a croc hunter. Right?
Yeah, exactly. He lived a glorious life. Hunting croc.
Yeah, the fact that he hunted crocs that long is amazing, and that's not sarcastic. It's just the truth that like, but that's also why he got fired from SNL, because
OJ, he's just like, well, murder's now legal, I guess. Well, he has that like devilish smirk. He was like a really like great mixture of like a sweetheart, but then he would just be like, like crack whores. And you're like, oh. I'm not used to
Right.
such a sweet voice saying stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Right. And I
So
mean, yeah, and I mean, there's some things he said that I honestly can't forgive him for. Like, he said some shit that's abysmally terrible. He said there was
Yeah.
like one thing he said where like some trans man was murdered, and like summarizing the bizarre story behind it, which they used like bizarre language from 1994 to describe it as well. So it was like a cross-dressing female, etc. And then he just ends with, "Well, I think they all deserve to die," which is like, I guess, just like about
it's a
how
little...
the story is so bizarre that fuck all these people, but it's also just cringy as fuck,
Yeah, he could definitely get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like you can only take comedians, like whatever you want to take them at, I guess. But yeah, every comedian should know that it is their job to find that line, and whether you can cross it or not. But you definitely gotta, if somebody says, "Hey, fuck you," that's offensive, then it's like, well, you gotta take that.
Well, and I think
hopefully learn from it.
The reason I got compared to Norm Macdonald is because of the fact that I have fallen like face first over that line on stage a few times, and I still keep doing it. And I don't like ever like when it happens, I don't backtrack. I just like keep leaning into it, like almost like like the audience is silent, and instead of being like, "Oh, I guess we don't," blah blah blah, ha ha, I just go, "Oh, okay." So I'll give you an example. The other day, I'm doing this rape joke right now, right?
Right.
So trigger warning.
As you do.
Right, as you do.
Yeah.
And it gets like, it's basically about bathrooms at first, because that's how that's one of the myths about trans people, and a lot of my comedy is poking fun at these myths and stereotypes of trans people. And so I talk about how, I wanted to go into the women's bathroom for the couches. It turns out they also had Segas, and as I beat that bitch at Donkey Kong, all those hormones were worth it. The rape was really just a bonus. Yeah. And the audience is shocked, right? And I say, what's that? You want more rape jokes? And they don't. And they never want more rape jokes. But that's the point. It's not, they're not supposed, otherwise it's not a good rape joke if they're consenting for it. So I just keep,
that's true.
I just keep leaning into it. And by the end of that part of the thing, I realized I'm at an LGBTQ fundraiser, and the audience is completely, I've lost all of them, one woman laughed at the real punchline at the end, but besides that, it was just gone. And I got them all back, but then at the end of the show, people were talking to me afterwards, and normally they'll be like, "You were my favorite comedian," but tonight they were like, "You were one of my favorites," which burn. And then secondly, they felt the need to point me out. Oh, and I didn't like the rape joke,
Right.
It's like, yeah, that's the choice I make between the art of like wanting to talk about this, myth about these trans bathroom predators, and also knowing that I'm talking about material that's really uncomfortable, and how do I approach it? You know what I mean?
Well, sure. Well, and your rape joke it's absurd. It's like, what an absurd thing to do. This scenario you're setting up. So, people should, I get it. It's like, be offended, but at the same time, it's like, it's this imaginary thing highlighting absurdity. And, it's like the Holocaust joke. It's like, I've heard a lot that are funny. They are not endorsing, genocide.
Right.
But it's like, it's a matter of how you like, the floor is hot lava. You're like jumping from place to place trying to avoid the lava.
Yeah, and it's really the art of crafting a joke is like getting the absurdity to translate well enough that people, that you're like triggering their endorphins and forcing that laugh. So then that sensitive material actually becomes like, it almost becomes like healed a little bit, you know,
Mhm.
because you're able to bring it out, and like that's what laughter often does, is it's like a way of dealing with trauma and problems, and that's how it is for, like, that's what it comes from for me, and what it's always come from. And so yeah, I think that
It's cathartic release of
exactly,
darker
that's the
elements
word
of
I'm looking
life.
for. It's catharsis, and that catharsis does partially come from shocking the audience with like misdirections, right? Like
Yeah.
I think the best comedy is like that. It's not just like, I don't get catharsis from, you know, double entendres that make me want to hit somebody, right? I get it from, I get it from that like misdirection that ends up pointing at like an absurdity of that I hadn't noticed before, and then I'm like involuntarily agreeing with you, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I could think of a lot of moments in my life, like this isn't an actual thing, but it's kind of wraps it up. Like, say I had a family member who passed away, and, you know, it's really sad, and the whole family's having a hard time dealing with it. A lot of my family might be crying. I might be over in the corner with my cousin, like, well, at least we don't have to eat her cooking anymore. You know,
Yeah.
like just like making jokes about it. And of course we miss that family member. It's just, but we're gonna, you know, try to make fun of it.
And it's
Because
so
it's a way of celebrating
it's,
life in a way.
yeah, it's so helpful to have that laugh too. Like it really does help a lot. It's like you gotta have that as much as you have the fucking tears, you know.
Yeah. How do you feel about, like, because that's a thing that I come across on a lot of podcasts, and I always feel like it's this kind of blown up culture war that isn't actually the case. But, you know, obviously you have like woke comedians, but then you have these old comedians that are like, they don't want to let me say my truth, but really they just want to get away with saying some really old offensive shit that's not even funny. And so you hear people fighting back and forth on social media about it, but I don't know, any good comedian I've ever met, you know, they can say offensive stuff, but they also update their material with the times. And I was just kind of curious what your sense of the comedy scene is. Like, do you think it's really changed a lot from what you grew up watching, or I don't know?
Well, I mean, it's a complex issue, and I'd say that there's always been cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I mean, the original cancel culture was shit like the Hays Code, where like gay people were like prohibited from being on TV as sympathetic characters. They had to be, any gay traits had to be like villainized, you know, or else they had to come to some tragic ends in order to show people that like sexual perversion can't lead to like a happy life, right? So the way that they were legally forced to portray queerness in the old days was a form of cancel culture. And, you know, Norm Macdonald wasn't fired for being transphobic. He was fired for calling truth to power. And that's always truly been cancel culture. You know what I mean? And that's what we do have to protect, is the ability to call truth to power. And we have to make sure that we don't let any sort of censorship laws hinder our ability to call truth to power. But these washed up comedians or these open micers who are complaining because they're not getting laughs because they're out of touch and they're just not good enough. Like you know, a lot of the comedians who are complaining, it's because they've had careers that bolstered their fame without stand-up. You know, Jerry Seinfeld is complaining because he's very famous for being on a TV show and not for stand-up. And so then he tries to go back to stand-up and people's expectations are higher than his ability. And it's the same with Rob Schneider, you know, and that's honestly, the end of the day, what they're complaining about is that they're not as good as their fame. And if you want to be as good as your fame, then you have to get there with that skill. You can't get there by landing some other deal that bolsters people's expectations ahead of your worth, or else you're going to hate it. You're gonna
Yeah.
sit there and bomb and not get the adoration you're used to, and it's gonna drive you nuts. And then you're gonna turn to, you know, the press and be like, oh, cancel culture, you
Right.
know.
I like that you mentioned Rob Schneider, because that's a great example. Because it's like his whole shtick was like, let me do these offensive characters of all these different races, and that was his whole shtick. And we got to a point where we're like, yeah, no, like that's kind of fucked up what you're doing, actually. Like, we're not gonna do that anymore. And then he's left alone to be funny, regular old Rob Schneider. Oh, he's not funny. And then so he thinks it's the culture out to get him, when it's just like, no, like people just, we've evolved a little bit, and that's not funny anymore. It's kind of cringy. And so then he has to make it about this like cultural Cold War concept or whatever it is. And
Right. And
we're going to start our own conservative comedy network. Like, no, you're not, because conservatives by and large are not funny. I'm sure there's some. There must be some, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, I don't know.
I haven't seen, there's a couple, but they're like, you know, those weird like New York conservatives, right?
Yeah, where they're kind of on the fence, like Colin Quinn. I like Colin Quinn. He can lean right a little bit.
Well, yeah, super conservative, obviously, but also occasionally funny, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then like there's other people who've been they've been held accountable for views that they had in the past, like Kevin Hart, right? And it's like at the same time, what he did his little Ellen tour, and he's pretty much I think he had to step down from one pretty big booking for it, but I think that he's like back doing movies and shit like that, right? So it's like,
he didn't get canceled. He just didn't get to host that show.
Right, he didn't get to host a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like as far as that goes, no one's out trying to say like let's cancel everyone, like except for, you know, people in power who are like, oh, let's cancel the people who are questioning me, right? But
I don't think
that I'm just gonna say I don't think that the left is against free speech. I think that that's a straw man that the right uses to galvanize their base. That's all.
That's really about all they seem to have these days. It's just scaring people on that, because everything else is just like, you have terrible ideas.
Yeah.
Just like they're just trying to scare people. It's like, well, yeah, like we're not going to do anything for you, but scary, right? But it's like, I don't know. It is interesting, because I mean, I have, you know, when I've thought about going to like an open mic and maybe like doing some stand up, like I think of all the comedians I love, like George Carlin and Bill Hicks and stuff like that. Like, I think most of the material I'd want to do is like really hitting religion and society and politics hard. And it makes me a little nervous.
I was complaining about how rape jokes hit. Nothing hits worse for me than religion jokes. Like that's like, I try and do religion jokes that are so just like softball, just like, you know, I love God, I just don't agree with all his choices, right? Like murder hornets, I wouldn't have made that call. I would have gone a different way, you know. I just would have. Like that's just a difference in opinion, right? Don't hate the sinner, hate the sin, right? That's the phrase. And that's how I feel about God. But does that get laughs? No. Is it funny? I think so, maybe.
Just like, was God just drunk and just like kind of angry because we didn't text him that night to fix murder hornets? Like, hey man, like we like you. It's just I got a life to live.
See, that's a more vindictive God than you. I just imagine God is like kind of meh. Like he kind of just sucks at his job. Like I think he's real,
like spilled.
He's just fucking incompetent. Yeah. I'd be a terrible Muslim, right? Everyone would be like, Allahu Akbar. And I'd be like, Allahu.
Aloha. It's just, can I just pray south today? Like, I don't know where I'm at. I'm in Kansas. I don't know where north is.
I mean, I'll mumble some shit, but you know, I'll take a nap on a rug, but don't expect too much.
I like it. It reminds me of this one story. when I was a teacher in Seattle, we had we would always do these weekly meetings where we're updating, and we were kind of doing this, being sensitive to everybody's truths. Like everybody has their own truth, and how to be sensitive to it and stuff like that. And
Can I just stop you?
sure, go ahead.
That sounds incredibly gay.
It was they had to fill time on Mondays, and it's trying to be inclusive and get everybody in there, and everybody there, whether they were African American or gay or whatever, everybody's rolling their eyes, like sipping their coffee, like, God damn it, this is a waste of time. You could have just given us our time to go enjoy our truths without coming in early to sit through this.
Would they have,
I don't know. But what was funny is that it's like, this is how you got to be inclusive, this way, that. And, I'm for it and all that stuff. But at the end of the script, it says something along the lines of, well, and we have to recognize each other's truths, because if we're not open-minded, that's the devil's work. And just everybody kind of chuckled. And it's like, the devil?
I like the turn this took. This is going somewhere.
And I'm just like, yeah, or the devil doesn't exist. And everybody just turned and looked at me, and I'm just like, oh, like, I have to believe in God? Like, what's all this? And then they're just like, well, no, you don't have to, but why? We're not saying that. Why don't you calm down? I'm like, okay.
And then
Sorry.
They never talked to young Jake again.
It was, they loved me around there. I was the contrarian. I tried not to be, but
Devil's advocate, were you?
Yeah, well, or just contrarian, because fuck the devil and God and all that stuff. Like but yeah, it would the religion thing would always sneak back in. Like I could be so down with all this progressive stuff, and yet they were like, but Jesus. It's just you have to,
you have to respect everyone's truth, whether they're Catholic, Protestant, Mormon. Everyone has a truth, and you need to respect it.
It's true. Well, and I mentioned this in the interview I did yesterday with my buddy Mike, like, because he grew up in Utah too, and that's another good thing about traveling, is that when you grow up in Utah, you get so fixated on like, oh, the Mormons, and like how ridiculous. And what's funny is that you go live other places, you're like, oh, human beings just fill that space with whatever.
Are awful.
Like when I lived in China, it just became like almost like worship, a nationalistic worship of the state. Felt like the ridiculousness of Mormonism. In Florida, it's Baptists. Here in Colorado, it seems to be like IPAs and some weird fringe Christian stuff. And I thought when I was younger, if I leave Utah, everybody's gonna become more chill about that stuff. And it's like, no. Everybody has their weird stuff that they just believe.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know. I guess I do got to be cool with it, but I have gotten cooler with it. Now I run into Mormons and stuff, and I'm like, you're sweet. Just don't tell me about the thing you're selling.
Yeah, I never had anything against, Mormons. I didn't grow up being like indoctrinated into it. I know a lot, and I was never really super indoctrinated into a religion, so I don't have anything against religion in general. I think it's very fascinating, but yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of things are a cult, and in their own way they become echo chambers, right? And they like become hostile to critical views outside of their identity.
I feel like maybe I'm paraphrasing this for sure, but like I think it was a George Carlin thing where he's talking about how a person is great if you look them in the eyes, you can see the whole universe if you look close enough. But the minute they start to coagulate and come together,
And
all wearing the same hat, you're like, it's too much. Take it away. I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Men in Black said the same thing.
Oh, okay.
You know? Yeah, Will Smith was like, people can handle aliens, they're smart. And then Tommy Lee Jones was like, a person is smart, people are stupid. You know, straight up nailed it. Never
that is a good
spoken. Part. I gotta talk about the things that I wanted to be on a podcast and talk about. I haven't done it yet. So we're gonna smoothly segue into the fact that what should we do? Should we talk about my Portland trip, or should we talk about my surgery? Because those are two topics I want to discuss.
Technically, we had about 8 minutes left, but I'm more than willing to let this extend. So we could do both, or you could pick one. And we just have you back, or okay?
We can. Okay.
All right, let's just jump in.
All right. So let's start with the recent thing, because I just had surgery on Monday, right?
Okay.
It was an orchiectomy, which means they ectomied my orchies.
Your orchies.
Yeah.
I don't know what
everyone's got some orchies if they don't have ovaries.
Okay.
They're also known as testes or testicles.
Okay, I've heard that term.
Do you know what I'm referring to? They cut off my balls, is what I'm saying. This is what the surgery was for. And it was quite the ordeal, which I am not putting any blame. I'm not going to mention the hospital by name here. It's COVID. These people are burned out. We've been
They're just exhausted. They're like,
we as a society, speaking of people, like we as a society have just exhausted our healthcare staff, like and given them nothing, like, and then people still just like are threatening them because they won't treat their dying parents with ivermectin, and
they're trying to put the 5G in us.
And it's just like abysmal, the amount of abuse that they're getting right now. And so that in mind, they this was quite the ordeal, getting this surgery done. First of all, I was supposed to take a COVID test beforehand. I did. They said no sooner than 72 hours. So I took the test Saturday. The surgery was on Monday. I got the results for that test last night. So they had to take a test. They had to give me another test that morning, basically. And I kind of had to wait until I passed that test. Also, like, they didn't have any of my pre-registration information, even though I pre-registered. So I had to go through that process again. Somebody called in sick, and then the receptionist processing everybody got pulled over speeding on the way there. So she was a little bit late. And it was, and you know, just a little bit flustered. And, you know, she kind of mixed up some paperwork. I think I had to change my gender marker to female. Like, they had the wrong phone number, the wrong gender marker. A lot of things were wrong. And I had to ask her to change it like 5 times. And one time she was like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know where the sheet went. Oh, dang. You know what I mean? And it's like so I had to fill everything out again, including like who the ride picking me up was and their number and all of that. And now
what state of mind are you in at this point? Like,
just
are you having to take any meds, or like what's the prep for this? Like, are you just like, I'm getting nervous here, like, or what?
Yeah, I was getting a little bit nervous for sure. Yeah. Needles make me nervous. I've never been anesthetized before. Anesthetized?
I can never say it. I don't know.
Anesthetized.
Anesthetized.
So I had a lot going on top of this. Plus, yeah, seeing the gender marked F, especially, or marked M instead of F, like four times. Like, I don't know how many times I had to ask to change it. But then she's printed new stickers, and then she put both stickers in my file. So then they put the stickers with the M on it on all my stuff, and I was like, no, damn it, why are you doing this to me? Like, do you know what procedure I'm getting here?
Yeah, they're like just taking a look like, well, I guess we did it.
Yeah, so So that, anyways, then, you know, the anesthesia kicked in, and I went to sleep and I woke up and the job was done and I felt great. I felt fine. Everything went smooth after that, you know. I called my bride. They picked me up. You know, my partner Justin came and picked me up. And then on the ride home, we got a phone call from the hospital, and they were like, "Hey, is Judith Choi there?" My partner's name Justin Choi.
Okay.
So I was like, I think you have this is like, my partner's Justin. You might be trying to call him. Is this the, you know? And I named the hospital, and they're like, yeah, we just wanted to tell you that, you know, Kevin's surgery went great, and he's ready to be picked up.
All right.
It's the true story. I am telling the truth, the whole entire truth up to this point.
I was
So
picturing them calling up. I was like, we just wanted you to know, Heather, that your balls had COVID. You're like, oh God.
We tested your balls and they have COVID.
Yeah. Well, so good thing we got them out.
We got rid of those. In fact, that was patient 0. But
that's where it started.
Oh, a bat. I gave a bat. I tossed a bat, or a bat tossed my salad, and now, now everyone has COVID. No,
it's a very charming bat.
They were like, we want you to know that Kevin's surgery went great. He's ready to be picked up. And I was like, I think that you have a mix up, because I was just at your hospital getting surgery, and this was my ride that you're now calling. So you should probably like figure out who that person's actual ride is and call them. And the guys just like had this expression like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go sort through this mix up. Yeah. So that's when I
Who's
checked
Kevin. This is the weirdest Home Alone plot I've ever heard in my life.
So that's when I checked the wound dressing, and I realized it wasn't even actually over my testicles. It was over my spleen. Okay. And that's where the scar was. Apparently they just removed my appendix. And poor Kevin.
Yeah, poor Kevin. Yeah, I like it.
It's working. It's coming along.
Yeah.
So that was how that went.
But what is that sensation like, if you don't mind me asking?
It's like being kicked in the balls, but all the time.
Like permanently.
Well, not permanently. It's actually gone now.
Right.
At first, it felt like I got kicked in the balls like 5 minutes ago, you know, where it's like, it still hurts, but I'm up, I'm walking around again, but I'm still kind of like leaning down a little bit, you know. And now it just feels like I got kicked in the balls like an hour ago. Like, I'm pretty much fine. Still a little tender, you know.
Yeah. Well, good for you though, man. I'm proud of you for making moves.
That was that was like my balls siren song, right? Because they'll never hurt that way again.
I suppose as a comedian, it had to kind of go down that way. It couldn't have been a smooth thing.
No, right? Like, I wouldn't be able to get
ridiculous hospital shit going on.
You know, it seems like the surgery did go great. So I'm really actually like, I don't care if everything else got fucked up. I mean, it would be nice if they got my gender correct. Like, that'd be swell.
That'd be a plus.
They also had my phone number wrong, so I couldn't like necessarily be like, you're transphobic. It's like, you're fucking everything up. Like, the only 2 pieces of information you have on me here are wrong so far. So
like, you're just information phobic. Like, you're fucking up everything.
You cut off Kevin's balls. God. I mean, he didn't even want it. He didn't even sign a sterilization consent.
Maybe Kevin was just like an anti-vaxxer. He's just being an asshole. And we're gonna fuck with Kevin.
He refused to get vaccinated because it might sterilize him.
Yeah.
But then he got that paperwork mixed up, and lo and behold, how karma works.
I heard an
I hear-
interesting total side note. I heard an interesting conspiracy theory that we should spread. Somebody's uncle, as I read on Reddit, so it's just an obscure whatever.
Let me load my bong while you say this,
Sure.
because it feels appropriate.
Yeah. Their uncle had decided to get the vaccine not because he supported them, but because he was convinced that everybody who has a vaccine is getting some kind of chip or something, and that one day the powers that be are gonna like flip a switch and everybody who got the vaccine will be alive and everybody who didn't get one will be dead. And so he got the vaccine so he can have like the 5G chip or whatever, so he can survive, even though he's against it because of one world government, 1984, whatever. So I think we should start spreading that around. Just like get everybody like really scared. Like, yeah, you're going to definitely like die if you don't get the vaccine, not because it's like sound science or healthy living or anything. It's that you got to have the 5G chip before we have like the climate change death switch.
Well, and I mean, I think that without the 5G chip, pretty soon you won't be allowed to buy or sell any goods and services, right?
Right. If you can't scan it before walking into the Whole Foods, which will be on every corner, you won't be able to cough and spit all over the produce like you used to be able to.
We're already installing detectors at Starbucks to test whether or not you've been vaccinated. It reads your body, and if you haven't, you get vaporized right on the spot, like by the same. It just boom. It's a new. It's called a cafe vaporato, and it's
vaporato.
It's called a QAnon special.
Pumpkin
where's my lighter?
QAnon spice.
Oh, there it is. So that was my surgery. I got to talk about, it fell. I got to talk about my Portland trip because that's super important. Vital information. And I think it's a good closer.
All right.
Honestly. So first of all, talk about everything fucking up. I don't think people realize that like we're living in the fall of capitalism. And it's
late
really,
stage capitalism, as some say.
Right. And it's really interesting to like experience human beings coming to grip with that. So it's like I walk into this hospital, everything's going wrong and nothing's amiss to me because I'm already understanding that everything's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to see the way that the sausage is made underneath the scenes anymore of America, because there's all sorts of crazy supply shortages and shit like that. Like things are like, not great, and workers are overworked and stressed, and customers are, also like being as bad as ever, and there's like tension between customers and workers, I think.
Are you saying the American dream is just really hard to attain?
Right, because of all of these, like part of it is because of all of these entitled Karens who are running around, like I was on a Greyhound going to Portland, right? Mm-hmm. And 7 people got kicked off the Greyhound in Eugene for refusing to wear masks.
Oh, wow. Right?
These people would rather be stranded in Eugene than get to their destination with a mask on their face. This is how
they'd rather be like dropped off in Eugene for the eugenics. That's what it reminded them of. They're like, I can make it there.
Maybe that was it. I don't know. I can't. One guy was like, one special Karen, he was like, I'm never riding Greyhound again. Isn't that what everyone says in the middle of a Greyhound trip? It's kind of just part of the experience. Like you bought bottom shelf vodka for a reason. Don't complain now. You took that trip.
Yeah.
No,
that's true. I think we should. All the male Karens are now Kevins.
No, they're all Karen.
They're all Karen? Okay.
Karen is gender neutral.
I just wanted to work the Kevin back in, that's all.
It was a good callback attempt, but I'm not an improver and I don't yes and. Okay.
Fair enough. Just
You
no.
can't- It's me. It's me.
Fine. I'm never riding this Greyhound bus again, man.
It was actually Amtrak.
Oh, okay.
I feel like the joke works better with Greyhound, but no,
Right.
I don't ride Greyhound again since the last time. I drink
Yeah.
Tito's vodka, okay? I don't drink Taka vodka. God,
Yeah.
upgrade. Sophisticated.
Yes.
But yeah, so I probably got COVID from that train ride. I'm assuming. I did end up testing negative later, but maybe it passed quickly because I'm vaccinated. I don't know. But I might have very well carried it because I'm sure that the whole thing was full of COVID. So anyways, I'm thinking I might be carrying it, but also I'm in Portland to do things. I had a couple shows. I had a Newfound Glory concert to go to. And I saw the worst drag show I'd ever seen in my entire life. Just gaping wide brown eye on display for everybody, which I was not expecting, and it was
sounds
not
like a great show.
It was the best show and the worst show at the same time. But yeah, the Newfound Glory concert was great because it's part of the Pop Punk's Not Dead tour. Have you heard of this?
I was not very into Newfound Glory back in the day, so I'm kind of out of the loop.
I don't think anyone really was. We actually sat next to Newfound Glory's biggest fans at the concert. I'm pretty sure they were.
And they're just
yeah, no, they were going really hard, and we were up in the balcony where all the old people sit, which was interesting because we became the people that Newfound Glory songs used to shit on when I was a kid. They'd be like, fuck the old people in the balcony, like, yay to young people, challenging authority, right? Like the basic shit that a pop punk band sings about.
Right.
And so it was really interesting listening to them sing about this shit 20 years later while I'm, up in the balcony.
Yeah.
Watching the fall of it. And then pop punk is also like the genre where that was like how capitalism killed punk music, right?
Yeah.
It turned it into pop punk. And so I'm watching the Pop Punk's Not Dead tour, where pop punk, by the way, was definitely dead. And that whole room was probably full of COVID. And it was just this nice little super spreader pop punk event celebrating also the death of capitalism. So I found that to be a very beautiful, just like almost poetry in motion. You know what I mean? It was just like such a good. I mean, I was on acid, so that really drew
that really ties things together.
The connections and the patterns really came out there. Yeah, but I met Newfound Glory's biggest fan. His name was Kevin, actually.
Okay, yeah.
So Kevin, if you're out there, we had a wonderful connection. I had to take a big fat dump or I would have stayed and chatted. Someone had vomited in the bathroom. And anyways, that was my Portland. That's all I needed to get out, to the world. That was that. Also, my friend's car got that's another story, but we probably don't. I don't know.
We'll save it for next time.
We'll save it.
But that sounds very cathartic.
It was incredibly eugenic.
Yes. Oh man. Well, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking with you and hope to have you back on.
Thank you. This was wonderful to catch up and I had a wonderful time. And I'll miss you. Have a good hour.
Yeah, I'll miss you too. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you're getting up and doing stand-up, that you're making choices, doing what you want to do with your life.
Yeah, making wonderful, amazing choices per usual.
Yeah.
No mistakes here. Pretty much nailing it flawlessly every time. Per usual,
Yeah. Just don't get on COVID sausage transportation and get sick with all those Karens, I'm vaccinated. Maybe that choice was
I mean, while I was on the train, I was like, yeah, this is dangerous. But beforehand, I was thinking like, oh, we're peaking soon. You know, I'm vaccinated. People are people. They're terrible.
Yeah. But
But
you
I
know,
am
persons
an
are good,
anti-vaxxer.
and you're a good person.
I'm an anti-vaxxer for that reason, actually, because
Well, it's been good talking to you, Heather.
I got vaccinated because I don't want to die, but I sure as hell hope that a lot of other people.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I wish it worked exactly like anti-vaxxers think it does, just like Passover, you know? You just like get the vaccine and you're fine. Everyone's eligible. Nobody's immune systems aren't going to generate antibodies. So we all just rate and there's no breakthrough cases. But no, it doesn't work that way. So it ends up where the people causing the most damage aren't the ones who get hurt the worst. But I really wish they would.
Yeah.
Anyways, great talking to you.
It's good talking to you too, man. I'll have you on again soon.
All right, bye.
Thank you for listening to The Jacob Wayne Show. If you would like to contact us, please write us at fogkoshka@gmail.com. That is FAKOSHKA@gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Simply search The Jacob Wayne Show and it should pop right up. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Please write us. It helps add content to the show and makes the show even better for you, the listener. Thanks for tuning in.